Gamers, allow me to take you on a field trip, okay? Allow me to take you on a field trip. So this is a gentleman, I think we covered him before. It's a ATalkingSock, right? He made a video called Ranking Smash's Potential Newcomers. Before I even watched this chat, I noticed something. I went to his community posts and he made this, gamers, and he made this. Makes a video about how Nintendo largely describes condition. You're clearly biased against Nintendo. Makes a video about characters like in Smash. You're clearly too biased towards Nintendo. Price of exposure. You get exposed to explosively rude and unpleasant people. Now let me thinking, what could he possibly be talking about, chat? Obviously, Goomba fallacy be damned. I think someone even said Goomba fallacy, literally. But I'm just like, Goomba fallacy on the community posts? How about we do a bit of investigating, chat? We're not gonna watch all of this. But according to some of the comments, from my general skimming of the comments, chat, look, even the top comment, chat. I didn't think you were that bitter over Steven Sora potentially ruining his Smash Bros. Forever. Your lists are just so interesting because of your niche taste in media. But part of me feels like there's still some lingering feeling of, why isn't the stuff I like more popular so Nintendo can invest in it more? Which probably won't happen, thus creating a cycle. So it seems like Steve Sora, he was like a bit strange about it. And it seemed like, and if I just quickly Control F, Xenoblade, for example. I don't know if there's any. Yeah, masking rage and new Xenoblade makes me sad. There was a couple of these, right? There was a couple of comments going, blah, 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 we hate it, you hate Xenoblade, right? So, let's do a bit of forward investigating, gamers. What exactly did he say about Xenoblade? Was he like being backseat soccer and he was like, Xenoblade's bad? What did he exactly say that got the Xenoblade people riled up? Let's do some listening, gamers. So let's listen out and we'll give it a score from 1 to 10 from intensity, all right? So here's the top of his Xenoblade section. So let's go.
Now on to Monolith Soft's Golden Goose, Xenoblade Chronicles. This series hasn't been around long enough to establish the trend Pokemon and Fire Emblem have. Nevertheless, I feel like it's all but guaranteed the next Smash game will add a character from the latest game that doesn't exist yet. And
fair prediction.
I'd be masking my rage with apathy about it.
So already he's like masking his rage with apathy. A bit sus, but let's continue.
I'm not a hater though. I just have little interest in this world, its look, its mechanics, or its characters. That said, I'm gonna go with Elma from Xenoblade Chronicles X as my most wanted character, because I like big robots. And it's my understanding that she is a character who can operate a big robot. She seems feasible to me, and I wouldn't be mad nor thrilled to see her join the fray.
So that's all in all his Xenoblade section, right? To me, I thought, if I was to give it a score of like intensity, I'd personally give that about like a 3.5 or 4. It's like if someone mentioned the trees in Sword and Shield, right? It's like, it's a bit boring, but like I personally wouldn't get that offended. But like there were quite a few people that did, right? I can sense yeah, it's a bit passive aggressive, and I can understand as a Xenoblade fan, it's kind of boring when you watch a video about like Smash and you're just like, oh, okay, I get it, you know? But overall, it wasn't that bad. So personally, what I would do is if I made this video, and I said that about Xenoblade, and I got Xenoblade haters, I would just ignore them. But this is where we get the twist, gamers. TalkingSock didn't ignore them. He didn't ignore them, gamers. He had some choice words. Now, some of the comments weren't so bad, but there was one in particular that really caught my eye. But let's have a look at some of the replies. So remember, and again, I'm not going to show it, but what's it? When it comes to his Fire Emblem section, he was also like a 3. Right? So there we go. Masking Xenoblade Rage mention makes me so sad. Like, the games have 2 characters represented, and there's so many characters that would be amazing if added. TalkingSock replies, I doubt that. Truth be told, so far. So this one's a pretty decent reply. This one was okay. Some of them get a little strange, though, just a little bit. We'll save that one for later. That's my coup de grace. But yeah, some of the replies you can just... Been a while since I watched this channel. Never realized how insufferable he is, especially when he's talking about a franchise he doesn't know. Calling Heihachi vanilla, saying Mickey would be the next choice for a KH rep as if Riku isn't there. Also, all his Guna picks. Oh no. Guna picks, gamers? I didn't notice it personally, but yeah, if I get this comment chat, what are we doing, gamers? What are we doing? What are we doing, gamers? That's what you do, right? But TalkingSock doesn't do that. Duly noted. I'm sorry you find personal opinions so insufferable. At least you don't want to hypocritically profess your own personal opinions that are directly hostile and unwarranted or anything. I'm just like... a bit of passive aggression. Do you think you owned him? Strange reply, that's what I'm saying. Very, very strange reply. Not the own that you think it was. Even though comments just ratio, even he got ratioed. Even if we're going by likes, your mother is hostile and unwarranted. So a bit of an own there. He tried, but he got owned. He got little broed, I would say. Let's continue, gamers. Let's continue to the next comment that he inevitably replied to. Good video, but it falls for the same trap that hundreds of others channels fall to. We get it. You don't like RPGs. Wow. I could pay my way through college if I got a nickel for every Nintendo YouTuber that shows disdain for Viaplane and Xenoblade attack. Firstly, true. That's just true if I'm being real. Which is why if I was to make a video Smash related, I'd probably lay off the Xenoblade hate. Not because I just think it's a bit boring. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit boring. So this guy's just truing, really. How does ATalkingSock respond? They refuse to engage in games that aren't Japan. Like, how am I supposed to engage? Yeah, exactly. So people are kind of like roasting him a little bit. To which ATalkingSock says, this may be hard to conceive, but my tastes are my own. I'm under no obligation to change them because many Nintendo YouTubers say the same sentiment. We know that. I don't know why you're telling them. And also, for the record, I quite jive with, oh, guys, I'm not JRPG racist. Some of my favorite games are JRPGs. And it's like, okay. I'm aware that they're very popular in Japan, but I don't even care what's popular in the West. I'm an ARMS fan. I don't care about what popularity. I just found what's fun. Seething behind a smiley. But deleting comments and replies is cringe. Responding to criticism hate is a horrible idea. I honestly, do you know what, Wiley? I used to be on your side. I used to think deleting comments was cringe. What I would say to you, Wiley, is I don't think that's a take you can honestly say unless you've been a content creator. I know that sounds really hypocritical, like strange to say, but it's one of those things where I used to think this until I became a content creator. I got hundreds of comments from randos on the internet. And when you get hundreds of comments from randos on the internet, you have one of two choices. Do you let the monkeys run the circus? Or do you say, it's my circus, I'm going to toss the monkeys out? Do you know what I mean? You have one of two choices, really. And I prefer to choose, and even though, yeah, would I rather delete the comment? Not really. But I'd rather not let the circus run amok with monkeys. Does that make sense? I'd rather just, either you're going to do some tricks and spin on a unicycle and do some juggling for me, or you're out. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it. I would say it's one of those things that's easy to say when you've never cultivated an audience. Because I used to think the same way. I used to think, oh, people deleting comments, what a baby. And it's like, there are definitely some times where creators delete comments where it literally is just them being a baby. But when I get people saying, I stopped watching because, I don't want to normalize that sort of behavior in my community. I'm not responding to you, nor do I want anyone to even see your comment, because your comment is dog shit and useless. Someone saying, for example, when I post my course ranking and someone says, Musty, KTB and A, mate, the meds are that way, mate, the meds are that way. That's someone disagreeing with me, but at least being funny. Do you know what I mean? I'm okay with that. Disagree with me all you want. At least be funny. What are my two rules, chat? Insightful, funny. You can disagree with me all you want. At least be insightful or at least be funny. If you're neither of those things, I don't want you in my community. I set the tone for the community I want. And I want a community of people that can either shitpost to me or can either give me a unique angle that I've never considered before. Because those are the two things I value. So if you're not going to do any of those two things, I don't care. I honestly don't give a shit about you. And that's just that, like, again, it's one of those things where, yeah, initially before I was a content creator, I used to think the same thing as you. Since gaining a bit more prominence, having a much bigger community than I used to say even 2 years ago, I've very quickly realized I'd rather get a flamethrower and burn all the people from the circus than let the monkeys run the circus. I'd rather burn it all to the ground than let the monkeys run the circus. I'm not even joking. I've started putting this to practice. I have less patience about annoying people in live chats. The pests are gone immediately and you move on with it. Exactly. I think it's something that I've translated from my security job. In my security job, I don't give, like, if someone's going to fuck me about, you can just go. Like, if someone's willing to meet me on a level, then I'm willing to talk. But if someone isn't, then you can just go. I'm not interested. Especially when it leads to situations like this, where, like, imagine being a content creator and, like, going, I like JRPGs. Look at all these cool JRPGs I've played. Do you know what I mean? He's in his own comment section flexing his JRPGs to random commenters. And if we're going by ratios again, chat, look. He got dunked on. Even if we add these two together, he still got dunked, bro. This could never be me. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that. I feel like deleting comments should only be used for a severe case. There's certain comments that do need to be deleted. Also do get deleting awful slop comments. For me, I just play it by ear. If it's something I don't want to see and I don't want anyone else to engage with, I just delete it. I'm very liberal about that. I'll never delete earnest criticism though. Like, for example, when I say earnest, I mean as in an example of criticism I've deleted. I don't know if you guys know, but when you leave a comment, I can check your comment history on my channel. And I remember specifically with the Pariah VOD, and when I uploaded the Pariah Switch 2 video, I got, like, I think 3 or 4 people who were like, Musty, I think you've gone too far this time. But when I checked their comment history, what comments did they also reply to? The Nintendo Land VOD. So I'm like, am I actually going too far? Or is it because this time I went after your Scrimbly? I can't trust your concern trolling, so I'm just going to delete your comment. I'm just going to ban you from the channel. Do you know what I mean? If someone, like, who I know is going to be on the level, like, say, a Matthew Smart, a Castform, a Wootmaster, someone who I know is here, then I could be like, okay, I can consider, have I gone too far here? Is this a point of criticism I need to contend with? Then that's a bit fair. But when I see that you've commented on other videos where I went in, and you're annoyed that I went in on someone that like apparently you care about, I don't care. You're literally, you have a conflict of interest that you haven't acknowledged, and I'm not going to go through the rigmarole of acknowledging that for you, because I just don't care that much. I'm sorry. I don't care to leave a reply saying, but you left a comment on my Nintendo Land box, huh? I'm noticing, and then getting into, I just don't have the time for that. I'm just going to delete you and move on. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so like for me, I delete criticism when it's very clear you're not coming from a position of accuracy or good faith. That's the only criticism I ever delete. Any other normal criticism, I'm fine with, because I'm okay with that, because it gives me alternate perspectives that I wouldn't consider before. In fact, it's very, very important for me, honestly. So yeah, that's what I do. Exactly, because if you're not insightful or funny or being bad faith, then there's no place for that. Nobody deserves it. Yeah, exactly, literally. It's just no point. At that point, it's not criticism, it's Ragebait. I think Ragebait definitely has a bit of a different tone to it. I would say it's criticism, but it's criticism that's masked in a veil of like earnestness when it actually isn't. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, do you know what it is? It's like saying, it's like giving me a chocolate chip cookie when it's actually raisins, you know? I'm like, I don't mind the fact that you give me a raisin cookie, but you told me it was chocolate chip and you gave me a chocolate and it's raisins. I'm like, why don't you just tell me this was raisins? If the guy straight up said, okay, Musty, I have seen your Nintendo Land VODs and I thought they were funny, but I think this time that would have been fair. You see what I mean? Because then he's acknowledging he's seen my other comments, right? He's seen he liked the other ones. He was like, yeah, get him. But this time it's a bit too far. And I go, okay, what about this one made it too far, but this one wasn't? Then I could get into it. You see what I mean? But like, I'm not interested in going through that rigmarole. Anyway, that's a bit about me. Anyway, I got a bit too into this. I got a bit too sidetracked about the story I wanted to share, guys. So let's continue with the story about ATalkingSock. ATalkingSock was getting into it in the comments, right? So let's read some other ones. This one's kind of like cringe, I would say. But let's continue reading. Yeah, a good chunk of the comments he was okay replying to, but there was just somewhere I'm just like, oh, he also thinks Hatsune Miku is Sega owned, was a bit, a bit strange. But anyway, so I think those are, you kind of got a gist for the comments, right? He's replying to comments where he otherwise shouldn't have. Are we saving the worst for last? I think we're saving the one that I think is insane for last, right, chaps? There we go. This is the coup de grace. This is the one that had me going, okay, strange. You're one of those weirdos who thinks niche and weird pics are the best thing ever. To which ATalkingSock replies, yeah. No offense. When people say they want a million niche characters and generally don't have personalities besides the quirky hipster, and nothing you've shown me here has convinced me of anything. You're anything but. You've got decent production quality, but I kind of hate your takes. They reek of being the guy in the room who hates popular thing because they're popular. To which, based on my watching this video, not entirely wrong. You don't seem to understand what makes a Smash character feasible or general selection criteria. To which ATalkingSock replies, projection, insecurity, and quite rude of you to boot. To which I don't know why you'd reply to this again. I don't know why you do that. But that's not the worst of it, chat. Hold. So ILikeNerdStuff decides to, strangely enough, take the higher ground, right? So he actually goes bit by, I'm not going to read all of this, chat, but he goes bit by bit, chat, and acknowledges every single part that he took an issue with. And while I would say this is pretty rude, overall the tone is definitely very rude, but I would appreciate the earnestness in which this person went through every single part and issued exactly what he thought was wrong with it, which I thought was interesting. It's actually an interesting read, chat. I know some people are saying wall of text, but he actually gave him earnest points. Again, he was a bit rude about, like I said, the debate. He was a bit rude about it. I'm not going to pretend he wasn't rude about it, chat. But overall, I think he gave like a decent thesis as to why he didn't like this video bit by bit by bit. And even if this person was rude, you kind of have to acknowledge it. Do you know what I mean? You have to acknowledge that this guy went through bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. Do you know what I mean? He gave him a stern talking to. All right, he's hating, but he's good at it, and I have to respect that. If someone left me this long a comment, I don't need to respect it. It's like when the bad guy wins. So I'll skip to the end and say, look, and again, chat, look. I'll read it in. At least I'll apologize for being rude, but I'm frustrated at seeing a lot more. Oh, the music's going. I'm seeing a lot more of these let's load video games with weird pics mentality, thanks to games like Nazby, which is Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl, by the way, and multiverses. And as rational a thought as they may be, it genuinely pisses me off. One or two of them are fine, but anything more is pushing it. But to give you a compliment, I at least like the idea of the video. But I was extremely disappointed at your thoughts, which is a real shame because, 40 minutes of my time felt like was wasted, for I felt like 5 minutes of actual enjoyment. At least you didn't throw in some obnoxious mic peeking or FNAF jump scare like Odyssey Central would. Firstly, Odyssey Central slander, I will never be there no matter what. Lastly, please get out of the Nintendo bubble. This entire world of excellent games that you'll never know if you stay there. Now, Odyssey Central slanders, stray aside, gamers. What do you think Talking Sock said to the end of this? Let's see what you had to say, gamers. You've made several wrong assumptions about me and misinterpreted not much of what I said in the video, but my motivations and outwardly expressed reasons, negative or positive, like, for doing so. I mean, do you at least want to engage with the part of the comment that he... Okay, I guess not then. It hardly matters, but I'd advise you cull and keep in check how much you think you know about things. Extremely rude there, if you ask me, very rude. But here's the worst bit, chat. Listen carefully. I highly suspect that I've been alive a fair deal longer than you. But also, it's possible that you're also on your way to 30 and have a neurological debilitation.
Oh, what about that? Send him off! Send the dirty get off! Get him off the field! That was diabolical! Get him off the field! That's just typical what it is! Get him walking!
Chat, all I'm saying is I read this, and I was like, what is the difference between this and saying he's just mentally arsler? As far as I'm concerned, chat, he basically just said he's mentally R. That's basically what he just said to this guy. And granted, this was very, very rude, but after all of this, you just call him restarted. And I'm just like, what is this? Actually disgusting behavior. And I'm not even using that word lightly. Genuinely unbelievable that he wrote this. And remember, chat, remember, this is coming from the guy who said this, gamers. Remember, to give it all of this. To give it all of this, chat. So all I'm saying is, very strange. A very strange delve into the mind of a talking sock. That's all I'll say, gamers. So that's what I noticed, okay? That was my brief diatribe. All I'm saying, a talking sock, is if you're gonna call a guy mentally R, just say it, broski, alright? Just fucking say it, okay? Good grief, Lord. Good grief. Genuinely unbelievable that he just said that. All for a guy who was like, I would say was mean, but like relatively earnest, I would say. Good lord. So we don't encourage harassment in this community, not now and ever, but if you want don't do anything of the sort on my behalf, but good lord, that was crazy. That was actually insane. So that's what I noticed in this. We're not gonna watch this video again. I didn't think it was too interesting, but when I was perusing the comments, I did notice that. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. And I think that's gonna make for a fun Moresty segment, if you ask me. So what did you guys make of that? What did you guys make of our field trip? Talking Sock really is the opposite, Arlo. Yikes. I get being annoyed, but you could just ignore it. That's way too far. You're literally way too far. That was way too far. Oh, man, that's Dark Arlo, man. Hey, we already got the title. Hey, Dark Arlo crashes out. We already got the title. Okay? Get him off the field, mate. Get him off the fucking field. Literally, I was, because like that's what I do. Just to clarify, whenever I'm like researching, whenever someone gives me a recommendation, usually skim a bit. Sometimes read the comments. I generally feel the vibe. So yeah, when I was reading the comments and I found that, I was just like, oh god, yeah. At least just say the slur, broski. That's what I'm saying to you, dogs. Say the slur. All right, don't be mean about it. See, I'm opting not to say it because I just genuinely don't want to say it. I could say if I wanted to, but that is a era of my life that is past me now. Okay, you got to talk to Call of Duty Musty for that. But I'm nice guy Musty now. Okay, I'm nice. All right, but if you're gonna call someone a mental debilitation, just say the word at that point. Just say the bloody word at that point. Good grief, man. Just say it. You're a fan. Either way, it's about 11:30 gamers, so I think we'll leave it there.